Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dale Menyo. Congress is poised to pass the latest water infrastructure bill under the Thomas R. Carper Water Resources Development Act, or WRDA 2024, which will help offset some inland waterway costs while focusing heavily on flood risks nationally. A ship docked at the Port of Oakland represents the port is included among the major projects in the new Water Resources Development Act to deepen, which would allow for even larger ships to dock there. The bill, named after retiring Senator Tom Carper, overwhelmingly passed the House on Tuesday on a vote of 399 to 18. Leaders in the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and Senate Environment and Public Works Committee, chaired by Carper, came together last week to announce a bicameral agreement on the bill. The House held a floor debate on Monday on the bill, during which members largely acknowledged the country's water infrastructure needs and expressed their support. With the continuing bipartisan bicameral tradition of passing a word bill every 2 years, something we have done since 2014, said Representative Sam Graves of Missouri, chairman of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
We've got a dry slot in control over Ohio today, but it also means we've got some changeability in the forecast. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio Ag weather update. Here's what's going on. We've got wraparound backside circulation that's going to dominate in Ohio for the rest of this week. An upper-level low looks to be getting cut off from the jet stream over the Great Lakes, and so that circulation is just going to be here. Clouds rotating through. Today we're seeing winds come in from the west and northwest, relatively strong on this backside circulation, and I'm expecting temperatures to drop fairly handily here through the day, especially this afternoon. We are very chilly then for tomorrow, Friday, and into the start of the weekend. With the moisture rotating through the Great Lakes, I think we can see rain and wet snowflakes. Best chance of wet snow is going to be in all the overnight periods and near Lake Erie. I won't rule out minor accumulations at this point, but to be clear, our ground surfaces are still pretty doggone warm here. We do start to see temperature moderation as we go into the latter part of the weekend. Sunday, temperatures come off of these very, very chilly levels. Next week is rather unsettled. I think we have to deal with moisture out of a couple of waves. Late Monday overnight into early Tuesday, I think we can see a few tenths here and there, coverage around 60%. Bigger system coming through for Wednesday afternoon into Thanksgiving morning. That's where we can see a 1/4 to 1 inch. And then we follow that up with a big batch of cold air after Thanksgiving's done, going into that changeover from November to December. I think we can see some wet snowflakes out of that system. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Joining me is Peter Garris. He's the COO of Jeff Martin Auctioneers. Peter, as I understand it, you've got a big auction coming up. When is it?
Great auction. The Ohio Ag Equipment, their complete inventory from around the state of Ohio. Absolute public auction is coming up on Tuesday, December 17th, 9 a.m. It's going to be located at the Allen County Fairgrounds in Lima, Ohio. Easy to see, easy to go visit. You can also check out our inventory at jeffmartinauctioneers.com.
And can we bid online when it comes time for the auction?
Absolutely. We'd love that. We'd love to see you in person. We love live auctions. We fully understand people have got other things to do on Tuesday the 17th, so you can bid online. All the information, terms, conditions, all the inventory, videos, everything that you need is at jeffmartinauctioneers.com.
Well, that sounds great. Tell us about some of the items. I know with every auction you can't list them all, but it's kind of fun to see what could draw you in.
Absolutely. Well, the cool thing about this auction, it's the Ohio Ag Equipment. Their complete inventory from around the state of Ohio. They're closing their doors, so we're selling everything that's left. We've got Fendt tractors. We've got a Klaus combine. We've got grain heads, corn heads, a whole bunch of new woods equipment. We've got some cat skid steers. A lot of this equipment is going to be very low hours, almost new. And then in addition to the heavy equipment, the tractors, the combines, things like that, we have all the parts, all the pieces, the oil, the filters, everything you can imagine that a dealership would have. We're selling all that inventory as well, including, I thought it was kind of cool, getting ready for Christmas, a whole bunch of really cool farm toys that was at the dealership. Everything from the dealership is going to be going up for auction. It's going to be over 800 lots sold Tuesday, December 17th at 9 a.m. jeffmartinauctioneers.com for all the details.
Now, I'm still curious, the toys.
Everything is live. Everything is online. You can bid on everything online, but everything will be sold live. Will cross the auction block. And when I say toys, I mean there's big lots of them. So there's these big Gaylords that are full of pieces and parts from the dealerships. There's going to be a lot of group lots. We're doing our very best to describe everything online. So this is one of those auctions that you kind of need to be at to get the full scope of. We've got 3 different buildings at the Allen County Fairgrounds that are full. So much to see. You definitely want to come out and check it out. Preview is open today through the auction. So if you can't make it to the auction but can make it here in the next couple of days, come take a look and check it out.
Peter, just in time for Christmas. Sounds great. Thanks for the update.
Thank you.
The National Milk Producers thanks Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee for recognizing dairy's important role in a healthy diet and its continued recommendation of 3 servings of dairy for Americans 2 years and older. Throughout this process, the committee looked carefully at the nutrition dairy products provide. The committee's scientific review showed that reducing or eliminating dairy from the diet leads to undernourishment in key nutrients for millions of Americans. The review also made clear that expanding the food group to include additional plant-based alternative beverages outside of fortified soy is not supported by scientific evidence. Specifically, the committee noted the direct substitution of plant-based milk alternatives for cow's milk within the patterns may introduce unintended consequences for meeting our nutrient recommendations and may vary by product selected. This is especially important as the dietary guidelines greatly affect the food options available to children through school meals and other nutrition programs. And on the calendar, a special weaned and vaccinated feeder calf sale is today, starting at 1:30. 900 steers and heifers pre-consigned so far, mostly weighing 450 to 750 pounds. It'll be in Zanesville. For more information, it's at muskingumlivestock.com. Back with more after this.
Since 1926, Nationwide has been rooted in agriculture. Founded as the Farm Bureau Mutual Automobile Insurance Company with a mission to protect farmers and their communities, we honor our legacy by offering solutions that evolve with the complex needs of today's farms. As the leading insurer of America's farms and trusted by 8 farm bureaus for 100 years and counting, Nationwide is on your side. Number 1 insurer based on 2023 direct written premium per AM Best. Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Did you know soybeans' number 1 customer is animal agriculture? That includes Ohio's dairy farms. High oleic soybeans have long been highlighted for their use in human food, but it can also be a benefit for dairy cows. Research shows it helps boost milk fat concentration and milk fat yield. That means more profitability. Soybeans, feeding the industry that feeds us. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Yesterday, we saw the latest in World Ag Supply and Demand estimates. USDA cut corn ending stocks by 200 million bushels, aggressively improving its forecast for exports and ethanol production. The new ending stocks estimate is 1.738 billion bushels. It's 62 million bushels below the lowest pre-report trade estimate. Soybean ending stocks for 24-25 were left unchanged at 470 million bushels, while wheat stocks declined 20 million bushels to 795 million bushels. Tuesday's new crop U.S. ending stocks estimates were bullish for corn, neutral to slightly bearish for beans, and slightly bullish for wheat, said DTN lead analyst Rhett Montgomery. Meanwhile, world ending stocks estimates for USDA were bullish for corn, neutral to slightly bearish for soybeans, and neutral for wheat. Corn used for ethanol increased 50 million bushels, while export estimates increased by 150 million bushels. The national average farm gate price remained unchanged at $4.10 per bushel. USDA held pat on its USDA estimate for soybeans from November. Exports were estimated at 1.825 billion bushels in December. The soybean crush is pegged at 2.41 billion bushels. Total U.S. production is estimated at 4.46 billion bushels, with a yield forecast of 51.7 bushels per acre in December. National average farm gate price, which was estimated at $10.20, is down from $10.80 per bushel last month. Also, USDA's estimates of wheat ending stocks came in at 795 million bushels, decreased from November's estimate of 815 million bushels. USDA estimates the farm gate price for wheat at $5.60, unchanged from November. The WASDE report also has livestock figures. For 2024, beef production was raised by 10 million pounds as the fed cattle slaughter has been more aggressive than originally assumed, and carcass weights remain historically high. On the pork side of things, it looks like pork production for 24 was decreased by 35 million pounds as carcass weights are lighter than originally assumed, and this trend continued into 2025 as once again, lighter carcass weights pushed 2025 production levels to 28,370 million pounds, which is down 30 million pounds from last month's estimate. Back with the Louis Dreyfus Report and markets after this.
Did you know that soybean meal is the #1 protein source used in aquaculture worldwide? Global fish consumption has nearly doubled in the last 40 years, making aquaculture the fastest growing sector of food production. Rich in protein content and highly digestible, soybean meal is an environmentally sound solution to feed the growing global demand for nutritious seafood. Soybeans, feeding the industry that feeds us. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Time now for the Louis Dreyfus Grain Analysis, brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and your soybean checkoff. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished the Tuesday trading day a little bit higher. It was a day. Supply and demand report out gave us a little bit of a surprise on corn. Let's get into it right now. The December supply and demand report usually is a snooze fest. Usually there's just not a lot of changes, but it was supportive for corn and wheat and honestly neutral to a snooze fest for beans. Let's get to the corn first. Corn ending stocks were dropped by 200 million bushels because demand was raised. 150 million bushels in corn exports and 50 million bushels in ethanol. The corn market then rallied as we moved through the afternoon part of the trade. That pulled beans and wheat futures higher post-report. Now, whether we can contain or sustain that rally from yesterday into the next few days will remain to be seen. Soybean ending stocks were unchanged at 470 million bushels. No change in U.S. demand. The 24-25 crop crush, export, and residual use estimates all were left untouched. The average farm gate soybean price was lowered 60 cents a bushel to $10.20, which suggests limited upside in price potential for the soybean market above probably that 10.25, 10.30 area in March futures. The supply and demand estimates raised the 2025 Argentina soybean crop by 1 million metric tons to 52 due to expanded seedings at this time. Remember, weather's been pretty doggone nice down there as well. Brazilian soybean harvest pegged at 169 million metric tons. Paraguay at 11.2. The world 24-25 soybean stocks were up nearly 20 million metric tons at 131.9. That is the story right there. As we move into other parts of the balance sheet, the revision to U.S. and grain balance sheets was supportive for corn, but market reaction was somewhat muted as the future downward adjustment to stocks now requires South American yield loss, which would sustain U.S. corn export demand into the summer months. More on the WASDE report is coming up. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Today's market is brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Quickly recapping yesterday's numbers after the WASDE report. December corn was up 6.5. The January beans were up 4 3/4, and July wheat was up 3 3/4. Turning to the overnight. December corn up a penny, 441.5. March up a half a cent at 449.5. If you kept it till May, 456, up 3/4. Beans are mixed with January down a penny at 993 3/4. March $10 even, down 1/4 cent, and May up a half a cent at $10.09 3/4. In the wheat, December's unchanged at 542. Go out to July new crop, and you're up 2 1/4 cents at 579 1/4. In livestock, December cattle 189.85, up $2.05. February up an even $2 at 189.02, and April up $1.70 at $190.65. The December lean hogs 82.92, up 2 cents. February down $1.92 at 84.57. March feeder cattle, $2.25 higher at $257.45. The April up $2.10 at $258.35. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, everyone. I'm Dale Minio. This is the Ohio AgNet.